She said she needed help. I gave her money, a place to stay, even my car. Then one day, the police showed up at my job because of her. The cops showed up at my work. Not a warning. Not a call. They came in, cuffed me in front of my coworkers, and said I was under investigation for vehicle theft. I laughed. I thought it was some kind of joke. Until they read the name of the person who reported me. My sister. 2 days earlier, she had begged me for help. Said she was behind on rent again. Said her credit cards were frozen. Said she needed a way to get around. For a few weeks, job interviews, she claimed. I'd helped her before. Paid off her overdue utilities. Bailed her out of a payday loan mess. Even co-signed a lease she later broke without telling me. Everyone in the family said the same thing. She's struggling. You're doing well. Help her. So I did. Again. This time, I paid her rent in full. Cleared one of her cards. Then gave her my car. Temporarily. She promised to be careful. Said she'd return it by the weekend. 4 days later, I texted her. No answer. I called. Straight to voicemail. Then I opened my bank app. Toll charges. Gas stations. Parking tickets, all in cities she had no reason to be in. That's when I knew something was wrong. I called my parents. Asked if they'd seen her. They told me she said I'd given her the car. As a gift. To support her new start. That was the moment the pit opened in my stomach. I didn't give her anything. I let her borrow it. And now she was trying to rewrite the whole story, again. I reported the vehicle as misused, not stolen. Didn't want to press charges. Just wanted my property back. And somehow, she beat me to it. Filed her report first. Said I took the car back aggressively. Said she feared for her safety. She didn't just lie. She set me up. And it worked. Because that's how I ended up sitting in a police holding room, trying to explain that the car I paid for, insured, and maintained was being treated like stolen property. By my own sister. When I got out, the first thing I did was call my parents. Not for comfort. Not for support. I just wanted to know if they knew. They did. And worse, they believed her. They said I was being too aggressive. Said I should have handled it privately. That she was clearly scared, and that I escalated it. They told me to apologize. I couldn't even respond. This wasn't the first time she twisted the truth. Growing up, she'd break something, lie, and blame me. If I spoke up, I was called dramatic. If I stayed quiet, she got away with it. But now? Now she'd taken it beyond childhood games. This was legal. Criminal. Dangerous. She knew I couldn't afford a record. My job depended on background checks. Any mark, even an accusation, could stain my file. And she used that as leverage. All while smiling to the family like the innocent one, trying to move forward. I gathered what I could. Old texts. Screenshots. Bank transfers labeled for your rent, loan for car repair, and last time I help. I built a folder. Sent it to a lawyer. They said I had a case, not just to clear my name, but potentially to press charges for fraud. But I hesitated. Not because I doubted it. Because deep down, I still didn't want to destroy her. Even after everything, part of me still hoped she'd come clean. Say sorry. Fix it. But that part of me was shrinking fast. She hadn't returned the car. I wasn't even sure where it was. She'd blocked me on everything. Changed her number. Deleted her socials. And then came the real kicker. A message from someone I didn't even know. A screenshot from her new profile on a different platform. She posted a photo of the car. My car. Captioned it. Finally got what I deserved. Hundreds of likes. Comments cheering her on. People calling her strong and independent. She made me the villain in a story she wrote herself. And everyone was clapping for her. After seeing that post, I stopped waiting. No more hoping she'd come around. No more. Maybe she'll fix it. I was done playing defense. I met with the lawyer in person. Showed them everything. Receipts. Messages. Proof of payments I'd made on her behalf. They said I had a strong foundation, not just to clear my name, but to pursue action for defamation and misuse of property. But then they asked a question that made me pause. Have you checked your credit report? I hadn't. I opened it that night. And that's when the bottom dropped out. There were 2 accounts I didn't recognize. A credit card I never opened. A loan application marked denied. Both in my name. I froze. I knew she'd taken advantage of me before emotionally, financially, but this was identity theft. I filed a fraud alert immediately. Called the bank. Spent the next hour verifying every detail on my file. And then I saw it. A recent transaction from an auto shop. Over $2,000. Repair charges. On my car. She crashed it. Tried to get it fixed in my name. So not only had she taken the vehicle, she'd wrecked it. Used my identity to cover the damage. And left the financial trail pointing right back at me. If I hadn't checked in time, I could have been the one stuck paying for it. Or worse, blamed for damages I never caused. I sat there staring at the screen. My hands shaking. Not from fear. From the realization that this wasn't about desperation. It was never about struggle. It was about control. And she'd been building this piece by piece while I was still trying to keep the peace. The next day, I filed the official police report, this time against her. It was cold. Clinical. No emotion. Just the facts. And they were ugly. But not as ugly as the message I got that night. From my parents. They said I was tearing the family apart. Said I was turning on blood. Said she didn't mean to hurt me. I didn't respond. Because by then, I knew exactly what this was. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't scared of being the villain in her story. It didn't stop with the car. Or the fake police report. Or the identity theft. She still had one more place to hit me where it hurt. My job. 2 days after filing the police report, I was called into HR. They'd received an anonymous complaint. Accusations of harassment. Emotional abuse. Manipulation of a vulnerable family member. The report wasn't just detailed. It was personalized. They used my full name. My work title. Referenced real dates and events, twisted to sound like abuse. I knew immediately who wrote it. I'd kept my professional and personal life separate for years. No coworkers added on social media. No family photos at my desk. But she found a way in. One of her fake accounts had followed my company online. She knew who I worked with. What I did. And now, she was trying to infect the last clean part of my life. HR said they weren't taking action yet. Said they needed to follow protocol. They asked if I had anything I wanted to disclose. I told them the truth. All of it. Not with drama. Not with emotion. Just facts. I even showed them the police report. The fraud claim. The screenshots. I was done hiding. They listened. Took notes. And then, after a long pause, one of them said something I didn't expect. You should know, this isn't the only message we received. My stomach dropped. Apparently, she'd emailed multiple departments. Tried to flag me to legal. To ethics. Even to my boss. She used different aliases. Different tones. But the message was always the same. I was dangerous. Manipulative. Unstable. She wanted to poison the water so badly. Even if the company didn't fire me, they'd never fully trust me again. It was malicious. Strategic. But she miscalculated one thing. I had documentation. And after months of staying quiet, I was finally ready to use it. That night, I compiled everything into one secure folder. Labeled, dated, clean. I didn't send it yet. Didn't need to. Because the truth is like gravity. You don't need to push it. Just step back and let it do the work. She'd gone too far. And for the first time, people were starting to notice. Not because I made noise, but because she made too much. And it stopped making sense. I always thought staying quiet made me strong. That taking the high road meant turning the other cheek. That if I just kept calm long enough, the chaos would burn itself out. But now I saw it clearly. My silence wasn't noble. It was permission. And she'd been using it like a weapon. So I stopped staying quiet. I filed an internal statement with HR, backed by my lawyer. Outlined the defamation, the harassment, the false police reports. Attached proof. Real names. Real screenshots. A paper trail she couldn't erase. I didn't just defend myself. I turned the lights on. And when you expose a manipulator to daylight, they don't melt. They panic. The next day, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. Voicemail. It was her voice, shaky, nervous, nothing like before. She said she was shocked I'd involved a lawyer. Said I was trying to ruin her life. Said she didn't mean for it to go this far. But I hadn't started this. She had. And now, for the first time, she wasn't in control of the narrative. Then something wild happened. Someone from her circle, someone I barely knew, messaged me. Said she'd reached out to them too. Tried to get them to co-sign her story. Asked if they'd be willing to vouch for her in case things got legal. They refused. And sent me the messages as proof. In one of them, she even admitted that she exaggerated her side to stay safe. That sentence alone changed everything. Because now I had intent. My lawyer's response was immediate. They moved to escalate the case, not just civilly, but with a formal defamation claim. It was no longer, he said, she said. It was evidence. And she was unraveling fast. My parents called again. They were quieter this time. Didn't accuse me. Didn't defend her. They asked if I really wanted to go this far. I didn't answer. Because what they still didn't understand was, I wasn't going anywhere. She had dragged me through hell for months, maybe years. And I was done surviving. Now? I was building the fire exit. It started with one message. Then 2. Then 5. People I hadn't heard from in weeks, some I thought had quietly sided with her, started reaching out. At first, they were cautious. Careful. Apologetic. They said they'd seen things that didn't add up. Stories that didn't match. Posts she deleted and rewrote when questioned. Someone said, she told me you abandoned her. Then said you were obsessed. Those can't both be true. Exactly. That's what happens when liars get too confident. They forget which version they told to who. And when the stories collapse, the whole show does too. She spent months crafting her role, the misunderstood sister, the victim, the survivor. But now, people were comparing notes. And the math wasn't matching anymore. One of her former friends, someone who once defended her online, messaged me privately. They sent screenshots. My sister had asked them to create burner accounts, to comment on my posts, to defend her in case anything went public. They refused. And she turned on them instantly. Said they were taking my side. Said they were part of the abuse. Sound familiar? It was the same pattern I'd lived through for years. Only this time, she was doing it out in the open. To people who could see it happening in real time. That's when the shift became real. I wasn't chasing justice anymore. I wasn't begging to be believed. Now they were coming to me. Not all of them. Not the ones too proud to admit they were wrong. But enough. Enough to prove I wasn't crazy. Wasn't aggressive. Wasn't unstable. Just tired. Tired of covering for someone who built her identity around being saved, and punished anyone who stopped saving her. She posted less. Went quiet online. No more quotes about healing. No more selfies with vague captions about setting boundaries. For the first time, she had no audience. And without attention, she started to disappear. But the final crack didn't come from me. It came from my parents. They showed up at my door. Not to defend her, but to ask for the truth. Because she'd gone after them too. Said they enabled me. Blamed them for choosing the wrong child. She'd weaponized their guilt, and this time, aimed it at them. And suddenly, they finally knew how it felt. I thought she was done. After the legal threats, the fake reports, the identity theft, the smear campaign. After she turned on everyone, including our parents. I thought there was nothing left for her to break. I was wrong. She still had one trick left. And she used it. It started with an email. From my former employer. A job I'd left 2 years earlier. They said someone had reached out, anonymously, with concerns about my conduct. Claimed I'd left under suspicious circumstances. That I had mental health issues and a history of violence in the workplace. Completely false. But enough to trigger HR procedures, even retroactively. They were required to document it. Luckily, the HR manager remembered me. Said it sounded off. Said they doubted its legitimacy, but wanted to notify me out of caution. And then they sent me a copy of the message. It was her. The writing, the phrasing, the tone, all of it. She hadn't just tried to ruin my present. She was now reaching into my past. I didn't even flinch this time. No panic. No rage. Just quiet. Because this wasn't a new attack. It was desperation. She was out of moves. Out of support. Out of power. But the one thing she still couldn't accept was losing control of the narrative. My lawyer called it the final nail. We added the email to the case file. Flagged it under malicious defamation. We submitted to the authorities. Now, she wasn't just dealing with a sibling dispute. She was under real investigation. And then came the collapse. One by one, the people she manipulated walked away. Even the ones who'd stayed silent started speaking up. They told their stories. How she lied. How she played them. How she used their sympathy like currency. I didn't have to prove anything anymore. She did it all herself. She tried calling me again. This time, there were no threats. No manipulation. Just silence on the line, then a quiet, choked voice. I didn't think you'd really go through with it. That was the last thing she ever said to me. And I didn't reply. Because there was nothing left to say. I didn't respond to that last call. Didn't check in. Didn't follow what happened next. But I started hearing things. Not because I asked. Because people couldn't stop talking. She lost her job. Apparently, the company found out she used her work email to send one of the complaints about me. It violated their internal policy. They called it misuse of professional communication for personal vendettas. She was terminated within the week. Then her lease fell through. The apartment she was so proud of? Gone. Turns out, her co-signer backed out after finding out about the open police investigation. She tried blaming me. Said I ruined her life. But I didn't have to lift a finger. She did it to herself. My parents stopped defending her. That was the most surreal part. They didn't apologize, not directly. But they started showing up differently. Stopped mentioning her name in our calls. Stopped asking me to forgive and forget. My mom once said, very quietly, some people only learn after the fire burns everything down. And for the first time, I think she understood. I wasn't the fire. I was the one getting out of the house. She went dark on social media. Deleted everything. The posts, the selfies, the captions about healing and family and growth. Gone. And with them, her little curated version of the truth. I thought I'd feel triumphant. I didn't. I felt still. Not happy. Not bitter. Just still. Some nights I wondered if she was okay. Not because I missed her. But because part of me, the part she never completely killed, still remembered when she wasn't like this. But I never reached out. Because healing doesn't always mean reconciliation. Sometimes it means knowing you could have made it worse and choosing not to. I didn't win. There was no scoreboard. No final speech. No courtroom applause. There was just this quiet moment where she ran out of stories. And for once, the silence didn't belong to me. It belonged to her. Life after her was quiet. No more unexpected calls. No more fake emergencies. No more second-guessing every notification on my phone. Just silence. The kind that doesn't feel empty. It feels earned. I moved apartments. New space. New number. New locks. For the first time in years, I wasn't living in anticipation of being dragged into someone else's storm. I wasn't living as a reaction. I was living forward. At work, things stabilized. The HR team backed me completely. They added a note to my file, false claims previously submitted, no disciplinary action warranted. I got a raise 2 months later. A promotion offer not long after. Turns out, when you're no longer putting all your energy into defending your character, you can actually build your life. People started asking questions again. Not about the drama. About me. How I got through it. How I stayed calm. How I didn't retaliate. I always gave the same answer. Because I knew who I was. And I refused to let her rewrite me. My parents kept their distance from her. They didn't say much. But I think they finally saw the truth. Not because I told them again and again, but because she showed them herself. Manipulators eventually turn on everyone, even their enablers. And when that happens, you either wake up or you burn with them. I didn't burn. I didn't chase revenge. Didn't demand apologies. Didn't try to make her understand. I just let go of the guilt, the pressure, the need to keep the family together at my own expense. And in that space, I found peace. It wasn't loud. It didn't come with music swelling in the background. It came slowly, like breath returning to lungs that had forgotten how to expand. Like sunlight warming a room I hadn't noticed had gone cold. Like me, coming back to myself. Sometimes people ask if I ever spoke to her again. If I gave her another chance. If she ever apologized. If we ever tried to rebuild. No, because what we had was never broken. It was fake. Held together by guilt, silence, and obligation. And once those pieces fell away, there was nothing left to fix. She sent one final message. It came months later, short, vague, the kind of message meant to bait emotion. Something like, I wish things didn't end like this. I didn't reply, because that's the thing about people like her. They never say what they actually regret. She didn't regret what she did. She regretted that it stopped working. I kept the message. Not for closure. Not for evidence. Just as a reminder of how far I'd come, of how much I survived, of how much I would never tolerate again. My life didn't explode into greatness after her. It just steadied. No more chaos in my inbox. No more second-guessing every favor I said yes to. No more explaining my side to people who already decided not to hear it. Just peace. And routine. And real, quiet joy. That was the real win. I see stories now, online or in conversations, about people like her. About siblings who manipulate. Parents who enable. Families that protect the wrong person. And I don't get angry anymore. I get calm. Because I know how that story ends. Not with revenge. Not with a dramatic final confrontation. But with one person finally deciding, this is no longer mine to carry. And putting it down. I didn't destroy her. I didn't expose her. I didn't drag her name through the mud like she did mine. I just stepped out of the story. And once I did, she had no one left to play off of. The show ended. The curtain dropped. And I walked away. That's how I won. Not by burning the bridge, but by realizing I never needed to cross it again.